Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the 83rd Emerging Growth Conference and day 2 of our 2-day Super Virtual Investor Conference. I'm Anna Berry. Today we're running until about 4:30 Eastern. When we switch to the next company, you'll see a black screen for a moment. That's just us moving over to next presenter. Our platform does work best on Google Chrome, so if you're watching from an Apple device, you have to hit the play button to start the session. Now, during each company's presentation, you can submit questions through our webcast module, and we will attempt to address as many of these at the end of the presentation. Now, all of our conferences, they're uploaded to the Emerging Growth Conference YouTube channel, so please subscribe, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. One last note, after today's event, you'll be redirected to the registration page for our next conference, so stay on or come back to reserve your spot early. Let's begin with our first company. We are excited to have NewGen IVF Group, ticker NIVF. It's a full-service reproductive technology services company operating out of Asia. They're expanding their business horizons beyond the assisted reproductive technology sector and will be investing into the digital asset and blockchain world. Let me hand off to Alfred, who's the founder, CEO, and chairman of NIVF, to make the introduction to his team. We'll also be having Daniel and Swinson, who will be talking more about their digital asset strategy. Welcome, everyone, to the Emerging Growth Conference today. Happy to have you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alfred. I'm founder of NIVF. We've traditionally been in the reproductive technology business. But after listing, we spotted a lot of opportunities, and we've been fortunate to be given a lot of facilities for fundraising. For example, we have an ELOC scheme that has 100 million for us to draw down. If there are good stories and good turnover, then we would be able to raise funds through this ELOC. We also have convertible notes to the extent of 28 million US that we can draw down, that they will fund us and convert into shares. So with these facilities, we've spotted the opportunity to deploy some of those money into crypto investments. So we will hand over to Daniel and Swanson to explain to you how we intend to involve in this very exciting crypto space. Over to you guys.
Sure. Thank you, Alfred. So the core of our strategy is to invest in the Solana ecosystem. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the macro and regulatory environment that has now become extremely conducive to digital assets. So the turning point really was third quarter last year, what we would think is the inflection point. So not only do we have President Trump with his pro-crypto policies, but we also had throughout 2024 huge Wall Street adoption in terms of digital assets and going mainstream. You had ETFs, the Bitcoin ETF and Ethereum ETF and the 401ks that can now allocate. So that obviously opens up a lot of liquidity that can flow into crypto. And one of the probably most shocking things is that the Bitcoin ETF was the fastest one to reach 20 billion AUM in just under 137 days. So that's across any ETFs, that is a record high. So that really shows both institutional and retail interest in this asset class. And now, not just Michael Saylor's company allocating to Bitcoin, you also have other publicly listed companies actively allocating to Bitcoin and other digital assets going down the spectrum. And on top of that, you now have sovereign allocation increasing across a lot of the G5, G10, and beyond. The Middle East sovereigns are also now allocating to digital assets, right? And you also have the US Bitcoin reserve, which is coming into shape. And finally, we really want to stress the ETF inflow. So this is how it looked really last year, continued inflows this year. And now comes the question, well, why are we pivoting to the strategy? What is the urgency to allocate? So one of the core thesis is that global M2, which is the global money supply, is at an all-time high. And typically, statistically, this leads Bitcoin and the rest of the digital asset markets around 80 to 100 days. So here you can see our chart with a average of 84-day offset. So the offset means first global M2 makes a new all-time high, and generally speaking, with around 80% positive correlation, Bitcoin after around plus or minus 84 days, so it varies over time, but let's say on average, for simplicity's sake, 84 days. So after 84 days, Bitcoin would make a new all-time high. So you can see that the correlations are very, very strong, certainly statistically relevant. And we think these macro factors, notwithstanding the short-term volatility you have with geopolitics and whatnot, we think that this is a main liquidity driver for Bitcoin and the rest of the asset class. And then here's where it gets even more interesting. Altcoins, i.e. non-Bitcoin tokens, they tend to also they even overperform Bitcoin, and not by a small margin, right? So by a large margin, you can see here it can outperform Bitcoin 200-300% on average after Bitcoin tops out. So why are we looking into Solana? So obviously, Bitcoin is the most established digital asset, followed by Ethereum. Now, Solana is the one that we want to be allocating to because Solana has a lot of real-world adoption, especially in the US. And us being a NASDAQ listed co, that makes sense to target Solana. Ethereum has been underperforming for the last 18 months. And we think Solana ecosystem is the one that is the way to go. Now, in terms of our overall objective, our aim is to become a $1 billion market cap, right? And acquiring 5% of Solana. Obviously, that is ambitious in the context of our company, but we think that is a great objective to have because right now there are not a lot of NASDAQ companies or US listed companies or any listed company for that matter that is focusing on the Solana ecosystem. And so our strategy essentially is to acquire through our strategic strategy and through the funds we raise to allocate across Solana and to adopt strategies to provide outsized investment returns. We will be using the proceeds to not only acquire Solana, but also invest in the ecosystem. So Solana-based projects, as well as to generate returns in Solana terms. And obviously, the core strategy also involves expanding investment banking coverage to make sure that investment banks cover us when they look at digital asset plays and the rest of it. So so Solana, very briefly, for those that are not aware, it is the largest blockchain outside Ethereum smart contract ecosystem. There is huge adoption in the US in particular. It is one of the fastest and cheapest networks to run. We think Solana is certainly undervalued at current prices. And then I just want to very quickly just conclude with the fact that NewGen as a vehicle is very attractive, not only because of our relatively small market cap, but also because we think one of the core thesis is the premium to NAV. So Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, his company acquiring Bitcoin as his core strategy, trades anywhere from 80 to 200% premium to NAV. We think with Solana and the coming bull market with the M2, global M2, led by global M2, we think this could be multiples above the premium to NAV that we can see with Michael Saylor's company. And secondly, the existing investor base is very conducive. Our existing investor base is very conducive to digital assets, and there is sufficient liquidity as well. That is beyond what our market cap would suggest. So so I think that concludes our digital asset presentation.
Thank you, Swenson. And
Yeah.
I'll take it on. I'll just add on to, since we have announced our digital asset treasury strategy, there's a lot of opportunities that really opened up. And received a lot of inquiries and people trying to partner with us to work on projects. And so this digital asset treasury strategy with Solana is only the start in the beginning of our transformation. As we intend to turn our new division, the digital asset division, into a full-fledged real business, doing real business applications with blockchain and digital asset strategies. As a starter, we're planning to tokenize one of our own IVF technologies. So we will probably figure out a way for people to participate in the upside of this business by potentially buying our token. And another strategy that we're looking at is in the real estate. We also have another project in the UAE right now, and we're speaking with partners, potentially looking into RWA projects. So there are many, many, many doors and many, many opportunities. And I'm just going to hand over back to Alfred to conclude this segment of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Swanson. So our company, despite it's small, it's followed by a lot of people. And for example, last week on June 2nd, when we announced our Solana accumulating strategy, the turnover of shares was fantastic. It reached up to 350 million for a small cap company like ours. It really means that we have a lot of people following our stories. So we'll keep improving and delivering, and there is a huge future for our company by adopting this crypto transformation. So we'd like for Anna now to open up the floor for questions or maybe to ask us some questions directly.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes. So there has been a flurry of listed companies that are embracing a digital asset treasury strategy. So talk about what makes NIVF different and a preferred investment option for expressing a digital asset investment angle for investors.
Yes, I can take that question. Thank you. So I think there are several factors. One of the most important of which is the premium to NAV thesis. So as mentioned with MicroStrategy, that company, even after Bitcoin ETS went live, is still trading at a materially significant premium to NAV. Now, we think that the premium to NAV for Solana, which is slightly further down the risk curve, and certainly slightly more volatile, but also with higher return potential, in this macro environment, we think the premium NAV for a Solana treasury holding company could be significantly higher. That's number one. And then number two, because NewGen as a vehicle and as an investment entity, we have a very loyal following of existing investors. And we've also garnered additional investors after we've announced our Solana strategy. We think that this premium NAV can really ride. Obviously, there are short-term volatility things to consider, but I think regardless, over the next 6 to 18 months, this premium to NAV plus having the right entity is a very good combination, and we think NewGen is the right company to express this digital asset thesis. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And are you able to attract the untapped Chinese investor?
I'll take that. Being headquartered in Hong Kong, I think it has our advantages because Hong Kong is a huge global market, capital market. There is a lot of action in the US, a lot of companies listed announcing similar strategies. Us being over in Asia, there is a huge crypto community, digital asset community over here. And Unfortunately, it's actually not so easy for an everyday person to really open up a digital wallet or open an account. If you're in the US, you can probably easily open a Coinbase account and trade crypto. If you're in Singapore, you can probably go to Binance, but in Hong Kong, it's not so easy unless you're an accredited institutional investor. So for those who want to participate in the upside and potential believe in Solana, you could think of us as a conduit in the vehicle to participate in that. And also, I think there is also a lot of Chinese money that has no access to digital assets, but having them tell their private banker to buy a stock is very, very easy. So that's also another advantage that we have. That's something that I think we differentiate ourselves from some of our competitors.
Absolutely. And with that, talk a little bit about your company's expansion plans, including your digital assets.
Right. We have.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, please take that one.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Anna, this is just the start. Our digital asset accumulation treasury accumulation strategy is just only the start. We intend to partner and look into projects as we get bigger and bigger. We truly believe in these future of digital assets and cryptography, blockchain, AI. It's all linked up, and we are actively looking as a starter. As I mentioned earlier in our presentation, we will take one of our own technologies that we've invested in, and we will turn it into a project with a digital asset application. So it's going to be a real world project with real world applications, potentially for the healthcare industry and the IVF industry. And for those investors who are potentially looking to participate, they can consider buying a token that we might be listing it in the near future into some of the decentralized exchanges. So this is just as a start. We're actually looking for partners to work with us. For example, in our UAE investments, we're also thinking about an angle where we could also bring on more value onto the Solana ecosystem, so we become an actual participant that will grow the community. Because at the end of the day, with all of these ecosystems, it's all about a community. And we want to be an active participant in this community, in this growing, successful community, and so on.
Perfect. And so can you talk a little bit more about your strategy? What specifically is your digital asset investment strategy?
Yeah, I can take that. So as mentioned, we are targeting primarily Solana at this stage. So Solana is the biggest smart contract ecosystem after Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot of problems. It's one of the first. It is the first smart contract ecosystem, so it is burdened with a lot of technological and adoption issues, whereas Solana has overcome a lot of those issues. So we think Solana is a great primary allocation for us. Now, with that said, we're not limited to Solana. We can pivot to either Solana-based tokens that have promising potential, or other promising ecosystems as well, not just Solana. So the great thing about our strategy is that it is flexible. It is also research-based, and through our connections in the blockchain industry, we are able to get insights on which ecosystem is getting a lot of traction, which have return potential. We'll also deploy a diversified portfolio across crypto strategies. We also, one of the edge we also have is we believe our core thesis is that these markets are driven by liquidity, like most other markets. There are specific indicators and specific technical and even fundamental aspects we can look at to determine whether the market is overheated. And we will take a very proactive approach to not only portfolio management, but risk management. And we would also take profit on our holdings over time. So this is not something that we will always hold on our balance sheet. It really depends on where the macro is, how we see the market, and we're advised by the best in the industry. Thank you.
And thank you. And just to clarify from some of our viewers, is your goal to raise capital to mine Solana? Are you looking to mine Solana? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Very thoughtful. So the answer is no. We're not. We're not a mining company. We're not a digital asset or crypto mining company. Those come with its own challenges because the analysis for those companies is very complicated. We want to keep it simple. We are a digital asset play. If the investor has a bullish view on digital assets such as Solana, we are the right investment for several reasons. One, we are an access vehicle, as we alluded to. As a listed vehicle, we are able to attract capital across the traditional capital markets as an equity rather than as a digital asset, which some investors or their banks have trouble investing in. And number two, we're more think of us as like a holding company for Solana and related tokens, much like MicroStrategy. So if you want to look at a reference company for us, we would think a reference company could be MicroStrategy.
Perfect. And so Eric wants to know, what does a partnership look like?
The partnership, we have very simple. I founded the company, and we've raised a lot of funds. So there's a lot of shares now out in the market. So there's no other major shareholder other than my wife and I as the founders. So after we announced the Solana strategy, there have been a lot of people approaching us to want to use our company to do various things. Service providers like staking companies, banks that want to ask us if we want to pledge the assets to them for some leverage. We welcome all sorts of partners to approach us. Please come to us one-on-one, and if you have anything to offer that is win-win, we really welcome this opportunity to have anybody understand that we have a very exciting future and come work with us.
Perfect. Thank you. Rich wants... Yes?
No, just to add to that, if Eric is thinking about partnerships with regards to the digital strategy, we welcome that as well. And we're actively exploring opportunities to work with, think of us potentially as a launchpad as well. We do have some capital. I mean, if there are projects, you're working on a project and you think Solana is a good chain to launch your project onto and you need some funding, we are open to that as well. As long as it's a win-win situation, whether it's an infrastructure play.
Maybe also to just elaborate a little bit on partnerships. So we, as a listed vehicle, we have the unique edge within the digital asset community to be able to raise capital, obviously within capital markets, as issue equity, issue convertible debt. And that is a very powerful vehicle in which to express a digital asset strategy. So we're talking, for example, right now, the talks are confidential, so we can't disclose a lot, but we're talking to multi-billion-dollar family offices in terms of how they can use their existing crypto holdings and perhaps look into a potential partnership with us. Obviously, nothing is as solid at this stage, but we're being very expansive, and despite our market cap, we're looking very big and we're very ambitious because we think now is the time. We have the right vehicle and we have the right expertise. Thank you.
Perfect. And Rich, our viewer, wants you to explain a little bit in depth your financing. Is it drawdown financing, conversion, or straight equity investment? How does it work?
Yes, we've got a huge equity line. We've got a relatively large convertible note facility. And we're also now getting offers for straight equity financing. So we're open to all sorts of ways to raise funds. Because when we raise funds through the lines of credit, it's a little dilutive, but the money will be put to good use that it will give a good return. So it's not really gonna be bad for the share price if we raise funds. We'll put it to very good use to get good return on the money.
And Roland wants you to clarify, is the Solana asset you're talking about the 145 asset, or are you going to be issuing new coins? If you can clarify that.
Yeah, so Solana is a digital asset, just like Bitcoin is a digital asset. It's another asset altogether within the digital asset space. So think of it as another Bitcoin, but with more specific use cases. I don't know if that answers the question. Happy to clarify more. So it's really a separate digital asset.
And we know you're not going to mine any coins, but are you going to be issuing any other coins? And is it capped like Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I'll leave Alfred to talk about the potential token issuance we would have for one of NewGen IVF's technologies. That is a separate thing we're working on. It's not solidified yet. But in terms of the existing core strategy we're proposing right now is simply to buy spot Solana tokens on a centralized exchange such as Coinbase and to hold it, right? To hold it on our balance sheet, just like MicroStrategy is doing the same thing with Bitcoin spot holdings. Right. That's a very simplistic way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we have just a few minutes, so I want to give you whomever wants to speak to close, but just a few minutes left. So whoever would like to close today.
Okay, so I guess in conclusion, we welcome anybody who have any ideas to want to work with us to approach us one-on-one. We have many projects that we are open to collect staking Solana, real-world assets tokenization, using a technology to mint a new coin. Several projects that could be very exciting with real-life applications that would have really huge potentials. So thank you very much for listening in. Please contact us one-on-one. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. And yes, everyone has your information, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon in the conference, hopefully next month. Thank you all.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back.
Thank you, everyone.